Hey guys, so about a month ago I did a video talking about my 5 favorite products from 5 of my favorite brands, and I mentioned that it was very difficult for me to narrow it down to those 5 brands and that I could probably do 2 or 3 more videos, and so many of you asked me to just keep going to make those 2 or 3 more videos. So here we are, video number 2. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my favorite products from 5 more of my favorite brands. So why don't we jump in and get started with SURRATT Beauty. So SURRATT Beauty should have really been in my first video because it is just really one of my, hands down, like one of my favorite brands of all time. But I was having a very, very difficult time narrowing it down to 5 products. So I just thought, let me just push it aside. So I narrowed it down. Very, very difficult. I love so many of his products. But I'm going to start with the Dewdrop Foundation, which I have talked about over and over again. It's shown up in like my best of types of videos, best of 2020, best of maybe even 2019. I can't even remember when this came out now. My favorite foundation videos. I just love this foundation so much. I have it in the shades 3 and 4. They both work for me kind of, you know, depending on how tan I am, basically. So 3 is lighter, 4 is a little bit deeper. And you know, what I love about this foundation so much is that it perfects your complexion and it really, you know, makes your skin look filtered and blurred and flawless without any sort of heavy coverage. It actually has a very light coverage, but there's something about the foundation, something in the foundation that I feel like tricks the eye. It almost kind of refracts light in this way that when you're just kind of looking at my skin, it just looks kind of blurred. It just looks really, really soft and finished. And again, without a lot of coverage. And I'm just not a high coverage kind of gal. I really like a more natural look. I really like, you know, the no makeup kind of look. I really like fussy-less makeup. And this is kind of the epitome of that for me. This is a really great no makeup type of foundation. So this is by far one of my favorite foundations of all time and definitely one of my favorite products from SURRATT. So the next product, well, actually I should probably talk about the next 2 products because they're both in this magnetic palette that I have, which is the eyeshadows and the blushes. Sorry, there's a plastic cover over the eyeshadows, so there's quite a glare. So there are all the eyeshadows that I have, and then these are all of the blushes. So what I have been trying to do is not just say the eyeshadows and the blushes, I love them, the formula is great, but to really pick out 1 or 2 actual shades of the products when I've been talking about my favorites. So in terms of eyeshadow, and this is actually what I have on my lids today, and I can't pronounce this. I think it's Zybeline, and I will put all the information down below my description box, but this is the shade. And you guys know how much I love a metallic taupe type of shade. It just looks so beautiful as a one and done shadow. And when it has that kind of slight metallic sheen to it, it gives your eyes dimension without having to add, you know, any more, you know, deeper or lighter colors or whatever. And I just love a good metallic taupe, and this is my favorite from SURRATT. But in terms of the formula in general, I just think they're so incredible. They're almost like this powder to cream instead of cream to powder, but like a powder to cream type of formula. When you look at it in the pan and when you pick it up and when you work with it, very much like a powder, you know, they blend out that way, but then something happens to them where they kind of, I don't know, melt or meld onto your skin where they almost look like a cream. So they're just really, really unique. I love the formula of these. And the same goes for his blushes. So in his artistic blush line, there are also some contours and some highlights. So my favorite highlight, which is one that I like dug my nail into, can you see that? Is the Coup de Genie. That is my favorite highlight. And my favorite, I guess you could say it's kind of like a hybrid blush bronzer shade, is La Rosée de Soie. And this is that shade. It's like a cool toned, kind of, I don't know, bronzer contour shade, but it has a little bit of pink in there. And it does make for a great kind of like blush bronzer contour if you just want to use one product and just sweep it all over your cheeks. It's just absolutely great for that. And then one just sort of straight up blush that I really, really enjoy is, sorry, I'm trying to take it out of this magnetic palette. is Cherubique. And it has a satin sheen, and it's just a very beautiful, like fleshy pink color. I really love it. It's beautiful by itself, but it's also beautiful, like if you're double blushing and you want to put something brighter on like the apples of your cheeks, this is really great, you know, kind of back on like the meat of your cheeks, kind of back towards your hairline, and then putting something brighter towards like the center of your face. This makes for like a really good kind of base blush. So that is, I would say, like if I had to run out and repurchase like one blush shade from the SURRATT line, I think that is probably the first one I would run out and buy. The next product on my SURRATT list is the Noir Lash Tint, and this is the newest mascara in his line. So this is the mascara that comes with like no, well, the mascara with the applicator that has no bristles on it. So the end just looks like a screw. It has like threading in it. And so that's how it catches the product, and that's how you apply it onto your lashes. I have this mascara on today, and it really has become like my staple mascara. If I open up my mascara drawer and I just don't really know what I feel like doing, or if I'm just, you know, just throwing mascara on just to have some on, I always reach for this one. It does such a good job accentuating every single lash. So it gives me a little bit of volume. It doesn't give me that kind of clumpy kind of volume. It just kind of thickens each lash, and it does such a good job holding my curl. So I just really love it. And I love this applicator because I find it much easier to use without those bristles. I find that I'm never getting little, you know, spots on my eyelids or making a mess. I mean, not always, of course. You can always make a mess with mascara, but I'm less likely to get it all over my eyelids because that's usually what the bristles do. Like when the bristles are too big or whatever, and I'm trying to go in and get, you know, product onto my lashes, I'll end up getting it onto my eyelid. And I don't really have that problem with this wand. So I really love this mascara. And then the last thing from SURRATT I wanted to mention, I like so many of his lip products, but one of the first ones I purchased from his line when I kind of discovered it a gazillion years ago, it feels like, this was like one of the first ones that I purchased. So it's kind of just close to my heart. So this is Club Sept, and the formula is the Lip Slick formula. And I feel like this product is what got me into like a sheer kind of lipstick. And I had always worn either like lipsticks, you know, like a cream lipstick or lip gloss. And I just fell in love with sheer, and you guys know how much I love sheer lipsticks. I fell in love with sheer, balmy, comfortable, moisturizing lip formulas. I'm pretty sure from like this moment on. So this one just holds a very special place in my heart. And this is the very first one that I purchased. So this is the first shade that I purchased too. And it's just this perfect nude. I really, really love it. And it's so funny now that I'm swatching it, I'm like, it's actually not that sheer. It's lighter than a typical lipstick. But that is Club Sept, and this is definitely the first SURRATT lip product I would run out and purchase if I had to. So that's it for SURRATT. Those are my favorite products from SURRATT. Let's go ahead and move on to the next brand, which is CHANTECAILLE. And this was another brand that I was like, I really wanted to put in my first video, but it was difficult. It was very, very difficult for me to narrow down to just 5 favorite products. I'm still like not sure of my list here, but let's go ahead and dive right in. First, their new cushion foundation. This is their Future Skin Cushion. I have it in the shade Vanilla, and this foundation is so good. It has a little bit more coverage than the SURRATT, like I was talking about. This has more of a light medium, buildable to a medium. I never really build it up to a medium because, again, I really like light coverage foundations, but it has a similar effect to the SURRATT where it does this blurring and filtering effect without more coverage, without additional pigmentation. It really just, it just does such a good job like filtering your skin and making your skin look soft and just so smooth. Oh, I love this foundation. Really, truly love this foundation. So that is number 1 from CHANTECAILLE. Number 2 from CHANTECAILLE is their Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. And this is a product that I, don't talk about too often because this was a limited edition powder, and it sold out very, very quickly because it is incredible. But they are bringing it back for their summer 2021 collection. I think it's like Flower Power or something. So I'm so excited that they've brought this back. It is a wonderful blurring powder. It has a baked gelée formula. So it's a little bit difficult to pick up. You do need to use like a denser brush, and I use something like my Sonia G Smooth Buffer, and I just get it in there and I kind of press it into my skin, and then I'll buff it out, and it does this blurring job like you can't imagine. Like when I put it here where my pores are larger, ooh, just makes it look so smooth. So that is definitely number 2 on the list. Number 3 on my Chantecaille list is definitely not a shocker, but it is their Le Chrome Luxe Eye Duos in the shade Tibet. I am, and I don't use this term lightly or often, but I am obsessed with these 2 eyeshadows. They are just perfection. I love them so much. I love like one and done shadows. I love like neutral shades like this, but the sheen of these are really what make it so special. So let me just do a quick swatch. So those are the 2 colors in there, and they just look so creamy. They are baked shadows, very, very creamy, but they have this very smooth metallic sheen to them. They're so bright and they're so metallic, but they're so elegant all at the same time. And I love it. I love the formula. I love everything about this line, but Tibet, this duo, is definitely my favorite color story. Next up for Chantecaille is their lip veil. And you know, they have the lip veil and the lip chic. Those are their 2 like main lipstick formulas. And they're both very, very similar, but I find the lip veil to be just a touch more oily, I guess you could say. They just have a little bit more of like a heavy duty kind of moisturization. They both are very, very comfortable, very moisturizing. But there's just something about the lip veil that I really, really love. And my favorite color is Tamboti, which is just a regular old light toned nude. And it's the perfect everyday shade for me. It's definitely like a My Lips but better. And it's the formula. I mean, this is definitely my favorite color in the line, but the formula is really just, it's like a lip mask. It's like wearing a lip mask all day. So that is the lip veil from Chantecaille. And then last but not least for Chantecaille, this was really hard, but I decided to go with the Real Bronze in Goa. This is limited edition, but I think they're still around. But this has that magical baked gelée formula. It's just like their Perfect Blur powder. And it's just gorgeous. There's something about a baked gelée that kind of melts onto the skin, and you really are able to build it up slowly. Like you really have a lot of control over the application of baked gelée products, I think, in my very humble opinion. But there's something about this color also. It's definitely neutral leaning. It's not too warm. There's a little bit of peach in there, so it works really well with blushes. Like it blends really nicely, and it's just gorgeous. I love, love, love this bronzer. So that is the Real Bronze in Goa. All right, the next brand we're going to talk about is Sisley. I'm going to say this for all of them. Very, very difficult to narrow it down, but we're going to start with some foundations. So the Tinted Sunscreen Cream, I talk about this incessantly, but this is such a good like tinted cream, and it definitely has more coverage than I'm used to. I would say this has a medium coverage, and I use the shade 1 Natural, and it has all physical sunscreens, so no chemical sunscreen in here. It just looks so perfect on the skin. There's something about Sisley foundations, along with, I think I say this about the Dior foundations too, where they have decent coverage, but they don't look makeup-y. You don't look overly made up. They're not visible on the skin. They're very, very seamless, despite having like kind of a full coverage. And the fact that this is a cream, like it really is a cream. It really feels like on the thicker side when you put it on. So it just feels really, really nourishing. And you know, even though I don't prefer something thick on my face when I go out in the sun, I do really like the nourishing feeling if I'm out in the sun, if I am, you know, hanging out by a pool or something, and I'm, you know, reaching for a tinted sunscreen cream. This is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. It is SPF 30, did I say that? It's SPF 30, and I just love it. I love it. It just looks so good on the skin. So that is number 1 for Sisley. Number 2 for Sisley is their Phyto Blanc Cushion Foundation. So this is their like cushion anti-pollution foundation. I have it in the shade 3, Light Rose. And this has like an interesting like cushion design, by the way. You have to push this button down and then the foundation, it squeezes the cushion and the foundation comes out of the center. Anyway, this foundation, it's very much like this. It's not quite as thick as the sunscreen cream, but it has, and it also doesn't have quite as much coverage as the sunscreen cream, but it does the same thing. Like it gives you some pretty decent coverage, but it doesn't look makeup-y at all. It's just really beautiful on the skin, and I have dry skin, so both of these, and even the SURRATT that I talked about, and the Chantecaille cushion that I mentioned as well, they all have a little bit of radiance and luminosity. So they're not, you know, a matte finish. They're not even like skin-like finish. They have a little bit more going on. And again, I have dry skin, so I prefer that. I just think it looks really, really healthy and really, really youthful. So wanted to mention this one for Sisley. And then I wanted to mention their pressed powder. It's the one that comes in that Zebra compact. And I don't know, when I was making out my list, I didn't even really think of this powder because it's just like the staple that I kind of reach for. I don't even really think about it anymore, which is why I think it slipped my mind, but it's just such a good powder. I love it. It has like a really soft satin sheen to it, but nothing metallic or glittery or shimmery or anything like that. It just adds like a nice softness to your skin. It sets down makeup beautifully. I like the fact, I'm a fan of loose powder, but I like the fact that it's in pressed form. It's just very convenient, easy for me to grab, easy for me to apply. And it really helps in setting down my foundation and concealer and, you know, taking away shine, but not making me look dry. It's just very, very easy to use. So I wanted to mention this. I think the name is just Pressed Powder, Mattifying and Beautifying. And this is the shade 2 Natural. And then of course I had to talk about their Perfect Lip Liner because it really is perfect. So I just grabbed any shade because I have a few and I would recommend any of them. But I did grab Nude. This is probably the first one I would run out and buy, let's say if I lost all of them. But here is the Nude shade. And one thing I do enjoy about this lip liner, and I always kind of neglect to mention this when I talk about it, is that it's one of those pencils that you have to sharpen. And I much prefer that to ones where you have to twist up because I feel like these don't dry out. Their formula stays much more consistent than those that you twist up. So I do enjoy that about this lip liner. But what I love about these lip liners is that they're soft. They go on really easily, no tugging, no kind of like dryness that a lot of lip liners have. And then it kind of sets down, but it never ever feels dry around the lips. I don't know what magic this lip liner is, but it always feels really soft. So it never feels like it's going to be long wearing. It never feels like it totally sets down, but it does. And it is long wearing, and it's just as long wearing as any of those lip liners that do eventually start to feel a little dry around the lips. You know, the ones that are kind of hard to remove at night. You never have that with these lip liners, yet they stay on just as long. It's really, really magical. I really don't know what they do to the formula of these lip liners, but that's why I love these lip liners, is that they're just as long wearing as like a drier feeling lip liner, but they never feel dry. So I just think they're really magical. So the Sisley Perfect Lip Liner, definitely one of my favorites from Sisley. And then last but not least, and this, you know, again, this was really hard. You know, it was like the first few products, I'm always like, oh yeah, that one, definitely favorite, definitely favorite. And then you get down the list and you're like, well, I really like this and this and this. These are all good. But what I decided to go with is their bronzer. Their bronzer is, I think, the baked gelée formula that had me fall in love with baked gelée formulas. I was so like mystified when I first saw this bronzer, when I first used it. So when I first used it, I used a soft brush and I didn't feel like I could get a lot of product down, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I wasn't that familiar with this whole baked gelée formula situation. And then once I realized like the whole baked gelée like magic, and that you needed more of a denser brush to kind of pick up the product because it's kind of hard in the pan, I felt like my entire world changed. So this bronzer has a like very subtle but metallic sheen to it, and I love a sheen to I guess all of my face products. I was just going to say like my cheek products, but I love a sheen. I just got through talking about how I like my foundations to have a little bit of luminosity and radiance. Just all of my face products. I just love them to have just a little bit of something. Again, I think that's because I have dry skin, so any kind of like dewiness I can put on my skin is definitely welcome. So this is the bronzer. My only minor complaint about this bronzer is that it's very warm, very, very warm. It has a little bit of like an orangey undertone, and so it's definitely a bronzer that I save for the summertime when I definitely feel a little bit more comfortable wearing warmer toned bronzers. But I had to mention this one. I mean, the formula is incredible. The finish, whoa, the finish is so pretty to me, and I just love it. I think they've even repackaged it into like this compact but gold colored, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, it's the same product. I think they just repackaged it. So that is the Sisley Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. And that gel dash powder is like the perfect term for this. Really beautiful. All right, next up, let's talk about By Terry. And the Brightening CC Serum has got to be one of their standout products. So it is like a liquid highlighter, you could say, and it does come in different shades. I'm holding up Apricot and Sunny Flash. I have a little bit of both as like a base product. I don't have any foundation on today or whatever, and I just love these. They have a little bit of a sheen to them, so when you do use them as a base product, you definitely look very like highlight for sure, but it's not so much that you look Tin Man. Like, you know, it's not too metallic, it's not too shimmery. It just gives you a beautiful, beautiful glow. So the Sunny Flash shade, of course, if you have my complexion, is great for like a tanned look, a bronzed look, or if you are bronze, you know, and you want to just kind of add to it a little bit, make it a little juicier looking, the Sunny Flash is great. The Apricot is obviously lighter. And this is what I will use, you know, when I'm feeling a little bit paler, or if I just don't feel like going for like a total bronze goddess look. I really like using these as a substitute for foundation. There's not a ton of coverage by any means, but it just, you know, does like this nice glowy thing to your complexion, and I really, really enjoy it. So the Brightening CC Serum, definitely #1 from By Terry. I also really love their hyaluronic tinted hydro powder, and the shade that I really enjoy is #1 Rosy Light. It has a very, very light pink tinge to it, and what I like to do is use just a tiny bit and press it underneath my eyes to set my concealer, and it does a wonderful job brightening my under eye area, setting my concealer. And if I use just a touch of the powder and if I press it in with my finger, it looks so seamless. I definitely had a learning curve with this powder, because with my dry skin, I felt like it made my skin look a little bit too dry, and if you do like a matte appearance, I think you'd probably love this. But I like to leave a little bit of radiance going on even after I've powdered. But underneath my eyes, I don't like radiance underneath my eyes. I know a lot of people like a highlighty kind of concealer. I don't like it. For some reason, I feel like it makes me look very sweaty. I don't know what it is. So anyway, I like a matte kind of under eye situation. So love this powder for that purpose. And considering the amount I use and how I apply it, this jar is going to take me forever to finish up. So that's the Rosy Light hyaluronic powder. And then I wanted to mention their CC palette. So they started coming out with these last year. This is #1 Sunny Flash. So this is the one that they released last year. And then they just came out with #2 Beach Balm, which is lovely. I love it. It just has a little bit of a different color story. But when I was talking about Beach Balm in a recent video, I was doing a comparison with this one, just in case you had this one and whether or not you wanted to get the new one or whatever. So I compared the two, and I had this one out and I just started using this one again. And I love it. I love it. For my complexion, it just works really, really well as kind of like a one and done face palette. Bronzer, highlight, and those two blushes. I really, really like this blush a lot. Obviously, I like a stronger cheek look. This is the one that I definitely gravitate towards. This bronze is really great for like a nice subtle bronze if I just want to warm up my skin. This highlight has a very creamy, kind of vanilla like sheen to it. It's very, very beautiful. Subtle, but it does a nice job. Like it has like a subtle satin finish to it. Oh, it's really beautiful. The powders are like on the softer side. They're really easy to pick up. So I really enjoy the CC palette. I love the new one too, but this one is just a little bit more, for my skin tone, like a little bit more basic than that one. So I feel like I reach for this one a little bit more. And then this is fairly new to my By Terry collection here, but their new Hyaluronic Hydra Concealer. This came out maybe a month or two ago, and this is their newest concealer, and it has like a click pen with a brush tip. It's really, really nice. I did a whole kind of review of this concealer, and I tried it on my actual face and I tried it under my eyes. I don't like it on my face, but it is great, great underneath the eyes, and if I just dab a little bit around my nose, it's fine. But I really like it under the eyes. It's very, very creamy. It's very serum-like, and it has, I was gonna say a little bit more, it actually has a little bit more than a little bit more coverage than the Densilis Serum Concealer that they have, which is very, very light. This one has more coverage than that one, but it's still not like a full coverage kind of concealer. It's a little bit more natural than that, and I really like that. And I really like the creaminess, the formula of this concealer. Just, oof, it looks really nice under the eyes. And if you have dry under eye skin, if you are a more mature lady, I think this is wonderful. So love that concealer. So the last thing I wanted to talk about regarding By Terry is their Baume de Rose lip balm. I feel like this is probably their most talked about product. And they have just regular lip balm, but they have tinted ones. And I love these tinted Baume de Rose lip balms. This is number, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what shade this is. This is number 6, Toffee Cream. They definitely have a rose scent to them, the By Terry rose scent, which you will find in most of their products. The CC palette, the brightening CC serum, not the powder, not the concealer. So anyway, this tinted balm is so, so lovely. I really want to get some of the other colors. I would run out and get like the regular untinted version as well if I had to. But the balm is beautiful. It is very, very moisturizing on the lips. When I put like a nice kind of like thick coat of it on at night, it acts as a wonderful kind of like lip mask, sleeping mask. It's great. And the tinted ones are just as nice. I feel like sometimes once they tint lip balms, they're not quite as moisturizing, but these are just as moisturizing. And I love this toffee cream shade. I would like to get more of like a pinky color, but that is my last By Terry pick. Moving on to the very last brand in this video, and again, I'll be doing another one. If you guys really enjoy this, just let me know down below in the comment section, because this last spot was difficult for me to figure out like which brand I want to talk about. But anyway, we're going to talk about Clé de Peau. So for Clé de Peau, the first thing I wanted to mention are their cream blushes. I have 2 shades. I have number 2, which I think is Fig, Pale Fig, maybe? Anyway, this is number 2, and then I also have number 4, which is a more, ooh, wow, this is the second time I'm doing this today, just digging my nails into my makeup. I've had the dropsies for the past couple of days. I don't know what is going on. I mean, I'm a pretty clumsy person, but it's like at an all-time high. Anyway, here is the other blush, and this is number 4 with my thumbnail scratch in there. This is the first one that I purchased from Clé de Peau. I figured it was the most neutral and I would be using it the most, and I do really, really enjoy this. But because I'm such a big bright blush fan, I have been reaching for this number 2, the Fig one, a lot more lately. So, you know, I like the number 2 right now more. You know, if I had to run out and kind of redo my Clé de Peau collection, this is probably the one cream blush that I would purchase at the moment. They're both lovely though, and they both, I think you can see it, they both have a very subtle metallic sheen to them. Very, very subtle. The formula of these is so great, and they're so great because they're not too creamy, they're not too dry, there's a sheen to them, but it's not too much. Like they're just like a little bit of everything, and they just work. I mean, just really, really beautiful. There's the color number 2, and do you see that like little bit of sheen? and they stay put. These are one of the best cream blushes, I think, in terms of longevity. They just stay put because they set down really nicely. They are definitely, like I said, they're just kind of middle of the road. They're not really too emollient, but they're not too dry where I feel like they set down to like a powder or anything like that. Not like that, but they're definitely not, they're not emollient on the skin. So yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. They're just a really like rock solid kind of cream blush formula. The next Clé de Peau product, I think I just mentioned, but this is their Radiant lip gloss in #1 Rose Quartz. And I love this formula of lip gloss. It's very, very nice. It feels great on the lips. The applicator has this like twist to it. I don't even know if you can see, but it's meant to look like a rose petal. So that's just beautiful. And then this color is like that milky kind of color that I just love because it kind of adds this sort of like filtered effect to your lips, but it has like little teeny bits of micro glitter in there that it's not even like you can see the glittery bits on your lips. It just helps kind of brighten them up a little bit. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful lip gloss. I love this one. If this was limited edition, I would buy a backup of this. Love this lip gloss. And it does have, Clé de Peau also has like a rose, a signature kind of rose scent. I think this has it. I can't tell. I feel like there's a lot of rose scent. Yeah, this has like a slight rose scent to it. So wanted to mention the Radiant lip gloss, again in #1 Rose Quartz. My next Clé de Peau product is one that I do feel like I maybe have moved on from. I do still appreciate it, but I don't use it as much lately. But it is their loose translucent powder. So this powder is what kind of sparked my love for loose powders. I never was able to get them quite right. I always either put on too much or too little where it didn't make a difference. Anyway, this powder is so finely milled, and I don't know, maybe it was also just the timing in my makeup journey where I was starting to learn how to actually apply loose powder a little bit better. But this was really what sparked my love for loose powders in general. So I do have a soft spot in my heart for this, but it is quite mattifying. I do feel like if I go a little bit overboard with this powder, because it does have more of a matte finish, that if you put a little bit too much on, it can look a little bit dry. If you have dry skin, I think it can look a little bit dry on the skin. Also, it is very, very, I'm gonna try and show you without making a mess, but we'll see. It has a very, very cool tone to it. You probably can't detect in the viewfinder, but it has like this very light pink kind of tone to it. And I think while that's great for me, like in the dead of winter when I'm at my palest, it's okay. When I do start to get outside a little bit more, when I start to put on like tanner products, like this By Terry Brightening CC Serum, it looks a little bit too cool toned and so finely milled. I feel like that term is thrown around quite a bit, but I really mean it when it comes to this powder. It is like fine, fine, fine. So that's the Clé de Peau Loose Translucent Powder. And then next, their lipstick. So not only is it their lipstick formula, and I think it's just called lipstick. Yeah, it's just called lipstick. They do have a different formula, which I believe is called cashmere lipstick. I don't actually like that formula as much as I like this one. This one is just more of their like straight up cream lipstick. Their cashmere lipstick is the one that kind of sets down and has more of a matte finish, or a soft matte finish, I should say. But this lipstick has just like a creamy satin finish, but it's this color. This color Bamboo is so good because it is cool toned, and I think it's hard. I think it's really, really hard to find a nice cool tone lipstick that isn't too totally gray and corpse looking. Not that I mind that, but this one is cool tone, but because it has a little bit of pink in there, I feel like it's just a cool toned look. And I had to swatch Pat McGrath's Lust Angeles next to this because I remember talking about Pat McGrath's Lust Angeles in the first video that I did, because this is one of my favorites from Pat McGrath, and that I couldn't find a shade like an exact dupe for the Pat McGrath. And I remember trying the bamboo because I was like, oh, they're both like cool tone with like a little bit of pink in there. But just to show you, here is the bamboo, and then this is the Los Angeles. So the Los Angeles is actually much, much darker and much deeper. They're both so beautiful. Yeah, I love this Clé de Peau lipstick. The formula and the color, just wonderful. All right, and last but not least is the Luminizing Face Enhancers. So it's these beautiful highlighters that come in these gorgeous refillable compacts. This product from Clé de Peau is very, or had been very, very subtle, but I feel like when they started to come out with newer shades, and I think 18 is their newest shade, which came out, I think, more than a year ago at this point, or 2 years ago at this point, it started to get a little bit brighter in terms of like a highlight. Like it started to have a little bit more of a metallic sheen to them. And let me just do a quick swatch here. So here is number 18. Can you see that beautiful, like creamy satin sheen? It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love this particular shade for my skin tone. It does such a great job highlighting. The other one that I love is number 15. But this one is a little bit more orange, and I actually can use this as like a blush topper. But let me go ahead and swatch this one. This one definitely has a light peachiness to it. So it's this swatch right here. So I actually ended up using this one as like a blush topper. It's a little bit light as a blush, but as a blush topper, if you want to add just a little bit of like a peachy sheen to it, it's really beautiful. But I don't know if you can tell, like the metallic or the satin sheen of it isn't quite as strong as it is in the 18. So I feel like they started to amp it up a little bit. And one shade that I purchased kind of early on is number 16. It's not that great. You can't really tell because it is subtle. So I'm just going to show you on my finger here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit powdery. It doesn't really have a beautiful sheen like this one does, but it has little micro glitters in there. And I have never been able to tell because these come with like an overspray, which is kind of annoying. But I've used this one enough where I feel like I've gotten through the overspray. Maybe it's just kind of in there, but it has little like teeny tiny micro glitters. So anyway, all of that to say is my favorite one is number 18, which is, again, like one of their newest ones, and that is this one, number 18. I forget the name of it, and they only have the number on the back of the palette. So we just talked about SURRATT, CHANTECAILLE, SISLEY, By Terry, and Clé de Peau. So 10 down, and again, let me know down below in the comment section if you would like me to do this video again. I think they're a lot of fun. You guys seem to enjoy them, and I do definitely have like 5 more brands that I could definitely talk to. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.